Super Rugby Round 8. Reds versus Brumbies. What a game. What a game. Another extremely competitive, exciting 80 minutes of rugby. Okay? That was really, really, really good game. Once again. Now, this game was not as crazy as the first game the Reds played with the Brumbies, where it was like a point a minute almost for the entire 80 minutes. But this game was just as exciting. Just as exciting. The game was kind of deja vu, actually. Actually, let's go back to the game before the game starts. So the Reds had to make some changes going into this game. Hunter Paisami had I think a hamstring injury or maybe like maybe a calf injury, like he during training, and then he wasn't able to play this game, and then they had to put in Fluke at center to take Paisami's place, and then knowing that the Red scrum is super dominant, Brumbies really stacked their front rowers against the Reds. And man, I was excited to see what was going to happen. So Brumbies stacked Jem Slipper, the most capped Wallabies at the moment. Over 100 cap. I think it's 100 exact caps for all the Wallabies. Over 100 caps in Super Rugby. Jem Slipper. Former Reds player, actually. He grew up in Southport. So he grew up in the Red system. So Jem Slipper, world class. Tied up loose head prop. They had Alan Alatoa, which is also the also the Wallabies prop, and then they had Faenga, the hooker, who is like one of the highest try scorers for the Brumbies. So he's the one that scores all the tries off the rolling maul from the Brumbies. So Brumbies really stacked the front row against the Reds. So I was like looking forward for the scrum, right? And like I was wondering what's gonna happen. Is the Brumbies gonna hold up? Is the Red scrum gonna be nullified? It took like 15 minutes for scrum to happen, okay? I had never like watched a rugby game where I just want someone to drop the ball so there could be a scrum, okay? I never wanted to see a scrum so much in a rugby game. So it took like 15 minutes for the first scrum to happen. And long and behold, the Tongan Thor, the demigod himself, dominated the Brumbies scrum for the majority of the game. Okay, pretty much the entire game, he just like dominated Brumbies scrum. Okay, maybe there was like one or two scrums that the Brumbies held off, held up. Like probably 50% of the scrums where Tupou just completely destroyed them. Like you just wouldn't believe it. Up against basically the Wallabies front row, right? Tongan Thor Tupou just went, nah, not on my level. Completely crushed the scrums. Man, so impressive. Tupou is so impressive. I can't like explain to you how impressive this is. He was able to just dominate the scrums up against the Wallabies starting front row. Okay, it's insane, Okay, man, what a game. So from the get go, okay, let's go back, rewind a bit, go back to the start. From the get go, Brumbies went up to a flying start, just like the first game, okay? And you're just like, oh, deja vu again. But the thing is, the Reds are looking like they're not really clicking. I think something to do with Paisami not in the centers. So Reds were looking like they lacked a bit of punching power in the back line. And also the back line's kind of like, what do you call it? The back line's like coordination is a little bit off. Like, everyone's off the beat a little bit. And then, yeah, the Brumbies off to a flying start. The Reds gave away a penalty. Brumbies went for the rolling maul, right? Reds sacked the maul prematurely before the ball even came down. So Brumbies had a full-on penalty advantage again. Tupou was like on a warning right away for like giving way for sacking the maul, I think, and then for like offside leading up to the penalty. So Tupou was on like on the edge of getting a yellow card 5 minutes into the game, and the Brumbies did another rolling maul, and then Tupou was just like so like, everyone's pushing in, and at this point Tupou's on like a warning, right? Everyone's pushing in, and the Brumbies more kind of like split. They rolled towards the blind side, and then Faenga'a just like saw the line and he broke off, and he just like dove over for the ball. As he was breaking off, Tupou like just kind of like swarmed himself over the top of the maul. He kind of like jumped over the maul, kind of like that. Like basically he illegally like went around the back of the maul and tried to like tackle Faenga'a from behind. He didn't get a tackle, and Faenga'a went over for a try. So if he did actually like somehow stop that try with that, he probably would have been yellow carded, because he had 2 like penalties leading up to that, and he illegally breaks around at the back, and then like the referee's like, all right, try's already been given. We're just gonna, you watch yourself, Tupou, you watch yourself. I mean, if he actually like stopped that try, he would have been yellow carded and might even be a penalty try, because he like. Yeah, he literally went around, like, broke himself off from the back of the maul, and then just jumped over trying to tackle Faenga'a. And Faenga'a scores a try. He, like, points to the camera, like, yeah, I scored, yeah. Yeah, he looked pretty happy. Happy chap. Got his nut try straight away. So there was, like, a lot of question marks at the moment. You're like, okay. So the Brumbies maul looked pretty strong, even against the Reds. The Reds tried to sack it prematurely and like went too early, and then when they weren't able to sack it like a bit like prematurely, the Brumbies maul was just like moving forward. So the Reds were looking a bit shaky, and then like again, like I was saying, the Reds backline looked like they're off a bit, and then like O'Connor, there was like literally like a few minutes later, they're just applying running around in center field. Oh yeah, the Brumbies kicking was a little bit better in the first half as well. I'll get back to that in a bit. So O'Connor was running plays in the field, and he tried to throw a cutout to, like, basically everybody was like really flat, and then the Brumbies would push up in defense really quickly. So O'Connor didn't have any options, so he tried to throw a cutout pass over to the winger. I think Joe Campbell was in the wing, and then Tom Banks just read it perfectly. He ran up, plucks the intercept, ran like 70 meters, scores a try, nobody could stop him. And then straight away, Brumbies up 2 tries, and Reds were just looking like, the mauls weren't working. The mauls were like destroying the Reds. The backline looked like they're not really clicking. That like literally Paisami's missing. Just looked like, something's missing. And, oh man, it wasn't looking good. It was not looking good. But after that, the Reds kind of settled down a bit. 2 penalties were given back against the Brumbies. And Reds, O'Connor just like, all right, let's settle this down. Took the 2 penalties. Reds claw back 6 points. And it's 6 points against 12. Brumbies missed one of the conversions. And then around this point is when the first scrum happened. All right. And this is like what I've been waiting for before the game starts, right? Tupou just demolished the Brumbies scrums. Like, just crushed them. And I think probably one of these penalty kicks from Reds, I can't remember exactly, were from one of the scrums. Like, just hands down, dominated the Brumbies scrums. And then that kind of like settled everything a little bit for the Reds. So you're just like, okay, that's step 1. Your backline isn't clicking. The line out isn't working out for you. The mauls, you can't really, not stopping the mauls effectively. Better, the scrums, it's something that you really need to have control of. And yeah, the Reds did not only control the scrums, but dominated scrums and got penalties out of the scrums. So the Reds were able to get a lot of their advantage back from just getting scrum penalties. And then they were kind of like settle the game down a little bit and, chip to get 2 kicks back and got 6 points back on the board. And just before halftime, there was a penalty for, I think might have been another penalty on the breakdown, might have been not releasing. So there was a 50-meter kick on halftime. Nick White took it, and he actually kicks it. I never seen Nick White kick a long-range kick, but apparently he's the long-range kicker. I know Lonergan can kick it, but he's on the bench. But Nick White actually kicked a 50-meter conversion from a halfway point. And going to halftime, Reds were 6, Brumbies were 15. Okay? And, man, it looked like, you're just like, okay, second half, you know, you gotta do something. Like, you have to click a little bit better with your backline. Like, the Reds weren't, in the first half, the Reds were applying pressure, but it didn't look like they were gonna break the defense. Like, it didn't really look like the Reds gonna have anything specifically strong over the Brumbies defense. The only advantage the Reds had was the scrums. So they needed to, like, build on that. Second half starts, I think the Reds kind of, like, kicked up a gear. Did the Reds score the first try in the second half? Or did they? I think they scored yes. So, Reds finally able to score the first try of the game in the second half. Okay? And this is actually a beautiful play. Fluke, he's, you know, the replacement of Paisami, actually showed, like, stepped up and just made a beautiful run. So, the Reds went blindside. I think what happened was, is this the one that was a kick? No. Okay. The Reds went, so the Reds were, like, attacking on one end of the field. And then O'Connor saw, like, it open on the other end. And he did a massive, like, crossfield kick. And then Jock Campbell ran up. And he caught the crossfield kick. And he got tackled. And then all the centers swept around. So the ball came out. I think he went to the winger. Might have been Lonergan. Not Lonergan. Might have been Haggerty. Anyway, I think it went to Haggerty, who was at a wing. And as he was getting tackled, he passed the ball back into Fluke. And Fluke just, like, bumped up the first defender and just struts down the sideline. And the second player came up to try to tackle him, but he kind of just, like, shook him off as well. And he crashed over. He did a really, like, solid, like, determined run there. He was probably, like, 30 meters out when he got the ball. And just, like, you can see it. He was really, like, you know, had blinkers on, just honed into the try line, just struts, like, big, strong, long strides down the sideline, crashed, like, just forced himself in for a try. It was actually really, really, really nice. It was kind of, like, funny play. Like, the crossfield kick could have gone badly. You know, like, the opposition could have caught it, and you would have, like, no one behind you. You could have gone the other way if the crossfield landed to another player. But, yeah, and this was the halfway point where O'Connor did the crossfield kick. But it was actually, like, both teams were kicking a lot this game. Especially with grubber kicks behind the line. So, in the first half, Brumbies were doing that really, really well against the Reds. Like Nick White and I think Lolosio, they both were doing a lot of, like, just grubber kicks behind you and putting the ball out just around your 5-10 meter area. And then you have to do, like, a defensive line out really close to your try line. And then even when you kick the ball out, you know, you're going to get the ball back either for a line out around the 22, or if they kick down the center of the field, you're probably going to run it back, you know, to about the 30, 35 meter area before you get tackled anyway. So it's pretty much like a really, you know, good plan. Not only that you have a position to kind of steal the line out, but if they do defuse it, you still get a ball back in a pretty good position to attack again. So the Brumbies are doing a lot of that, and the Reds are doing a bit of that as well for the entire game. And then when the Reds scored that try, the Brumbies kind of, like, right away needed to strike back. So Brumbies kind of put some pressure on, had a penalty, and they went for a rolling more again 5 meters out. And you can see it really dangerous. And the Reds, like, sacked the line out early again. So he was full on penalty against the Reds. And Brumbies just spread the ball out wide. And the Reds' backline defense was a little bit off. I think it was Bryce Haggerty right at the end. He kind of, like, he just, like, drifted in when the ball came wide. And then Brumbies just threw, like, a long pass over the top, and it was just Tom Wright was just right at the end and no one in front of him. He just like ran over and scored a try. And yeah, it was. I thought that was pretty poor defense from Reds because they should have they didn't have like Bryce Hegarty just drifted in for no reason, and the person that he was trying to cover was already covered by, I think Mateo was covering him. So like he just basically left Tom Wright completely open out in the wind. So that was kind of like like a bad defense play from the Reds. That probably shouldn't have happened in my opinion. But anyway, Reds started putting pressure on again, and just another penalty after I think another scrum penalty after this try was scored for the Reds. So the Reds took another 3, just closed the gap a little bit more, and then at 64th minute, the Reds had the second try of the game. So actually before this try, there was another try that was supposedly happened, but the referee was just like made a really weird decision. So basically, right, it was like, I think this try actually happened in the first half, towards the end of the first half. So I was just talking about there was a lot of like grubber kicks behind the defense line a lot of this game. So this was one of the grubber kicks that like went really well. I think it was Fluke again. He got the ball around the halfway line, right, and he did a massive like punt. And the ball just rolled all the way into the corner in the end zone. And I think it's Hegarty that was chasing. And then he tried to... And then there was a Brumbies player also covering. So the Brumbies player like caught the ball with his back turned like inside the try area, inside the end zone. And Hegarty came up and tackled him. And he kind of like, from behind, right? He kind of like wrapped his hand around. And one of his hand like hit the ball. Who was holding the player? It didn't like from the slow motion. It didn't even look like a direct hit on the ball. It looked like he kind of hit him on the back of the hand, and the ball just shot out of his hand. Right, so the ball came loose from the tackle, and Bryce Hegarty, because he was tackling the other guy, so he was kind of like on top of the player that he was tackling. He was able to get up a bit quicker, and he dotted the ball down. And the referee goes, that was not called by Hegarty. Even though he kind of like hit him on the back of the hand and knocked the ball out. And like, it was really bizarre because apparently he touched the ball. And then the ball, when technically went, I don't think that was right call. But it was, but anyway, let's go back to the Patea try. So this one was again, the Reds were putting pressure on, and there was a full-on penalty. They weren't getting through the defense. So O'Connor put up really high ball, and it was Tom Banks just standing out, and the ball was just about landing just outside the try zone. Tom Banks jumps up the catch, and Patea also runs in, and because Tom Banks was flat-footed, he was like basically just standing still and doing a vertical jump to try to catch the ball. Patea ran in, swooped himself around, and he had a bit of momentum, jumped up, caught the ball beautifully, landed right on the try line, spun around. It was some guy tried to tackle him. He spun around, put the ball down. Reds try. And then O'Connor missed the conversion. So I think at this point, the Reds were still down by 5. By 5 or 4. But the Reds were still down quite a bit, and he missed the conversion, right? And then he was just like, he really needed that one. Then the Reds were just able to apply more pressure following that. And slowly and surely, Brumbies gave away more penalties. And Reds got another 3 points at 69th minute. And then all the way up till the 77th minute, 76th minute, Reds were applying more pressure again. Got another penalty. And this one, the 76th minute, it's another scrum penalty from Tupou. Okay, again, just completely like folded the Brumbies, like the Brumbies scrum just completely folded in under the pressure. So another full-on penalty just from just literally as a tight head prop, Tupou has directly gave points to the Reds just by destroying the opposition scrums. It was just unbelievable. 76th minute, scrum penalty against the Brumbies, and O'Connor kicks it in for a 2-point lead, right? And then at this point, you're just like, all right, please hold on. You just, you know, there's still 4 minutes to go. And you're just like, please hold on. I don't want to see you lose. I mean, it's so close. And then Brumbies were attacking, for the last few minutes. Run the ball, and just getting closer and closer. And the Reds like really don't want to commit to a penalty. So they're just like hanging back. And the Brumbies literally ran the ball for about, I don't know, like 15, 20 phases. And the clock went red. The clock went to 80 minutes. And the ball there was a ruck. And the ball just popped out of the ruck loose. And the Reds player jumped over and like recycled the ball. And this point, you're just like, oh, it's game over. And the clock just ticked over 80, right? Just, oh, game over, kick it out. So the Reds, and everyone's like really confused because like the clock looks like it's over 80, but there was no hooter. So like, I think the Reds were thinking, the time must be like, there must be like a, there must be like the hooter must be a few seconds behind or something. So the halfback, instead of kicking out, he passed it back to O'Connor. And O'Connor just held the ball and he was like, didn't hit the hooter. And he just like, he just like pretended to kick. And then he passed the ball to Dagunu. And Dagunu got the ball. Again, he could have kicked it out. And he kind of looked up. And it still hasn't. And at this point, the clock is like, 80 minutes and like 10 seconds. And Dagunu got the ball and he was like, still no hooter. So he didn't like, he wasn't sure if the game was over. So he kicked the ball down. He didn't kick the ball, but he kicked the ball right back to the Brumbies. And it turned like everyone just like so confused. What happened? Like, why didn't you kick it out? Like, nobody knows if the game's finished or not. And everyone's just like, referee, is the game finished? Is the game finished? And referee's like, yeah, time's finished now. After the ball's been like kicked back. But anyway, so Brumbies had another chance at like scoring. And man, they just like ran the ball, getting really close. And it looked like they might set up for like a drop goal or something. Another maybe 5-6 phases later, Brumbies ran in and one of the props got a massive hit, put a massive shot on the Brumbies guy. And Brumbies like, the Brumbies player dropped the ball. And it was like finally game over. Oh my god, dude. That was... Oh, I can't wait for the third game. So, if everything goes alright, the final should be played in Queensland. And it's most likely going to be Reds versus Brumbies again for the final. So, I can't wait for round 3. I can't wait. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Maybe I'll do another one tomorrow for the Crusader game. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Cheers. Bye.